I am here with Idra at the end of MLG Dallas Day 3 Fall Championships. Talk about the weekend that he has had so far. Greg, you finished inside the championship bracket, making a two-group play after some nice wins over Apocalypse. But then you fell to Baby Knight and to Sulky later on, and the STC first off with a win with Grubby along the way. How satisfied are you with your results?
Not at all, but I never really am. There were a few good wins, one terrible loss, and a couple of okay losses. It wasn't a great tournament. The SDC games, SDC is a really good player, but I massively outplayed him, and I just kind of threw away the first game, and I beat him really easily the second game. Then the third game was a build order thing. I took a risk and just kind of guessed wrong. So that was a really disappointing series. And then Baby Knight games were pretty stupid. And then Sulky's really good. ZVZ's pretty volatile. I'm not used to the way the Kessimo players play. They don't go muted at all. Mute is just something that works in a lot for non-Kessimo players, but they all seem to prefer upgraded ground units, counterattacks, and then infestors. Kind of interesting. And they were kind of silly games. He opened up with a big Baneling bust the first game. Just weird games in general.
Those STC games, I was actually standing behind you when that happened. The first game, it seemed like you had a pretty big lead and kept trying to push into STC's third, but wasn't really successful. And then the third game, of course, he 2-Rex proxied you out. What kind of happened in the first game, and were you expecting the third game maybe some cheese was going to come out?
Well, the first game was literally over. There was it was an unlosable situation if I just have the patience to play it out. I figured I could just push and kill him, but he had more of a bank than I thought, so he was able to keep getting out units and clean up my attacking force. And at the same time, he was running around killing off my hatcheries. So he did the exact right thing in that situation. That was the best thing he could do. But it was entirely on me, and I just kind of I just didn't have enough patience. And then, yeah, the third game, I figured he would either proxy 2-Rex or 14cc, so I've been 10 pool. But he actually opened a pretty defensive 2 barracks. They were at his ramp, so he was able to defend the 10 pool, and then do a Marine SCV all in just to counter as kind of a build order loss. Entomb's a tough map, and SCC is a very stylistic player. He really likes either 14cc or 2-Rex, so I thought I would get him on that. It just didn't work out.
If you had won that match, there was already a lot of talk on the internet that you're going to play Flash in that very next round. Were you at all looking past the STC to the match versus Flash?
No, STC is a really good player. You can't really look past him. I was aware that I would play Flash, and that'd be really cool. But I wasn't focused on that at all. The match was first, STC first, and I knew he would be hard to beat, so I was focused on that.
We have the finals going on behind us right now with Leenock and Life, ZVZ, playing in the finals. I just talked to Rhett a little while ago, asked him about, in the past couple months, a lot of people saying that Zerg is kind of imbalanced right now, and Festers being the main problem, and cause, seeing there being a ZVZ finals here and other results lately, do you think that you can definitively say that there might be an issue now?
Like when Rain beat DRG 4-1 and it should have been 4-0, like everyone is really, really good. Everyone can beat everyone. Sometimes shit happens. Flash lost V2-0 Life earlier in the day, and then Life came back and beat him really easily. Had those been switched, had Flash had the good series later, then he would have been in the finals, and he could very well beat Leenock. You can't look at results individually like that. You have to look at the gameplay. And yeah, Broodlord, Infestor, Corruptor, Turtle seems really, really powerful. However, what people don't realize is that when you play like that, you're giving up a lot of other things. If the Protoss harasses really well, you're pretty much going to lose all your bases. It's going to be an elimination race, and you end up with that Death Army because you're putting all of your resources into that. You're focused entirely on that, and you have to defend really well to get to that situation. And it's up to Protoss to respond to that properly with the right army composition. DRG versus Rain, the first game on Antigua, Rain harassed perfectly. He got himself into the right situation, and then he still had Zealots and Sentries in his army. He didn't have any air tech ready. He didn't Vortex very well. It's Protosses mess up a lot of stuff. They don't understand things because Zergs hadn't been playing as well, and Zergs had been just dying to timing attacks earlier on, and now Zergs know how to defend everything, and Zergs know how to get to that late game army, and it's now on Protosses to figure it out. And Terrans just don't know how to play mech properly, except for the ones who win, and they do fine.
So do you think the metagame is still changing, especially with the recent influx of the Kessel players, the mechanics and experience that they have, and are they, not just them, but they kind of showing that the game may still not really be figured out and there needs to be more time to develop?
Totally. The Kessel players are better at mech. They understand it better than anyone except pretty much MVP or Ghosty Terran, which sounds really silly, but he understands mech very well.
And also Ray and PVZ, because you've been of course, very talking about your dislike for ZVP, but Rain has kind of, shown what you've been saying even more.
Yeah, ZVP, I believe, is a terrible matchup. Balance completely aside, it just leads to boring, stagnant games. The best way for Zerg to play is to never ever attack and get 100 spine crawlers and get that death army. And the best way for Protoss to play is either Immortal all in, or you just wait and try and hit a Lucky Vortex, which isn't actually that good. So it's really boring to watch, balance aside. And yeah, I don't know. Rain is showing that there's ways to get around that. There's ways to win anyway. But that doesn't really fix the state of the matchup. It's just kind of him outplaying his opponents most of the time, or him recognizing those powerful builds and taking advantage of them. His games still aren't particularly entertaining, in my opinion, and even if it is balanced the way he plays, it's not a good game.
So you have the Wizard World Championships in China in just a few weeks. Might be the biggest tournament of the entire year. You've had some up and down results so far this year. Do you think how you played this weekend and how you've been, practicing as of late, what do you think your chances are going into China? What are your expectations there?
A lot depends on your draw. There's a lot of foreigners there. If I hit a North American player, I feel very confident. European players are pretty hit or miss. Some are great, some are very beatable. Then the Korean players, there's lots of Protosses coming. ZVP I feel much better than I used to, but it's still my weakest matchup, so that's a little iffy. A lot of it will come down to draw. I feel like I am playing very well. This result was not really satisfactory, but nothing short of winning ever really is. I'm playing very well. I'm practicing well. If things go my way, I could win a lot of matches.
The Kessel players are going to be, some of them are going to be playing there. They came over here for the first time playing a main tournament at MLG Dallas. What is your impression of the influx of the Kessel players now, more so into the StarCraft 2 scene? Are you surprised with how well players like Flash and Rain are doing when thrown into the main field?
No, most of them have already proven they were among the best RTS players in the world. Brood War was the hardest game. It was the go-to game for anyone who was good at that kind of thing. And these are the people who were the best at it. So it's not at all surprising that now that they've had quite a bit of time to acclimate, that they are very good. In fact, I would kind of expect them to be better than they are. Not surprising at all. They should be as good as they are. They should be better, if anything.
And you see this trend continuing on as we get further and further into StarCraft 2?
It is definitely a different game. Like, Rain was not a somebody in Brood War. He was a pro gamer, but he was not an OSL winner. He was not an OSL contender. I'm not even sure if he was a regular pro leaguer. He was kind of a nobody. And now he's arguably the best player in the world of StarCraft 2. There are definite differences, and people definitely have, people are differently talented. Some people will be better at Brood War. They won't necessarily be the best at StarCraft 2. So to say that it's going to be an overall trend, that the Kessel players are just going to dominate, that, you can't say that. But they will definitely, most of them will definitely be among the best players.
Well, thank you, Greg, and I wish you the best of luck in China in just a few weeks.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to GameSpot.com/esports for coverage all weekend long of the MLG Dallas Fall Championships.